Hello again, everybody. This is Mr. Everything, and I am coming back at you with another wargaming and miniature video. In this video, we are going to, this is just going to be a real quick one. I wanted to give you a little update on my Waterloo project. I'm working on the 1st and the 6th Chasseurs for my, for Quatre Bras, and I just wanted to tell you a little bit about my progress in the actual painting and assembling, okay? As you know, I've been looking forward to doing these Chasseurs for quite some time. I've had the Chasseur models for a buttload of time, 6 months or more, but I haven't actually had any command figures, so I went ahead and ordered some Chasseur command from Front Rank, and now I ordered 3 of them because that's all I'm going to do is 3 regiments or 3 units of Chasseurs. Because even though there was like 15 regiments of Chasseurs at Waterloo, I'm not going to do all of them. I'm only going to do a select number of them and then reuse them in different parts of the battle as I split everything up, as you probably already know. If you're following my channel, if you're following my Waterloo project updates, you already know this. Okay, so let me say, you can tell what color I primed these models just by looking at the popsicle sticks. I primed them using Hunter Green. It's a protective enamel, Hunter Green. Looking over, I don't see it on my shelf. It's probably tucked in behind some other sprays, but it comes out kind of glossy, more kind of glossy like what you see right there on that roll. And that doesn't really accept paint very well, to be honest, if I was wanting to paint on top of my base coat. So what I did was, let me fix it. Okay, so what I did was I as soon as I primed them, then I went back over with a matte spray, and you can kind of see how that affected some of the other rolls compared to that roll. I must have missed that spot, but that's okay. That's primarily going to be that color anyway. So once I'm done, then I'll just spray the whole thing again with a matte spray, and I'll ensure that I get that spot. Okay, so the majority of these are Warlord plastic Chasseurs, right? And the Warlord website says that by this time, a lot of the Chasseurs were, some of the Chasseurs were discarding these saberdashes, or whatever they call those things, those little pouches that they carry off of their sword belt. And they recommend that you could just clip those off if you wanted to do that. Well, I'm not going to do that. I went ahead and left them on there because I think it adds a little bit more to the model. Okay, here's a bugler. Painted the horse like a light gray. The bugler down here is also a light gray. And now these are Front Rank models. And then the command stands, or the command, like the standard bearer and the officer, are Front Rank. Now, sprayed them Hunter Green, sprayed them with a matte, like a Rust-Oleum matte finish, and then I went in and started painting these horses. I don't know if you can see this all along. Plus, you probably can't see the horses in the back. But I used 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, at least 4 different shades of brown to paint these. And then I did make some socks as well. So you're talking about, and then on the grays, I remember that I used 2 shades of gray. I went with a dark gray first, and then I lightened it up with a lighter gray. I used the, what do they call that? Silver gray for the top coat. But you can kind of see, I don't know if you can see that. But see, there was a darker gray, and I did the whole thing like that. And then I went back over it with the silver gray, a watered down version, so it blends. And then that's what I've done with most of these guys. You can kind of see you can see the darker brown there, and then it lightens up, and then the tail got a different color brown. Then I did a sock. Yeah, so and then like you could see this horse there, he's got a really dark body and then a light tail. But yeah, I wanted to do like a slight variation. They're all basically 4 colors. I used a burnt sienna, I used a nutmeg, a raw sienna, and and then an oak brown. So I did a nutmeg first. Okay, I used this nutmeg to do the entire horse, all of them except for the gray ones. And then I went back in with watered down raw sienna or burnt sienna or oak, just to get various shades of brown. The standards, again, Front Rank provides these metal poles. You got to cut them with some clippers. They're super hard to cut. So what I've started doing is clipping about halfway through and then bending it until it breaks. And then I take the broken part, which is kind of a sharp edge to the standard, and I usually jam it into the like on his leg, you can see there's a little harness that it goes into, and I jammed it into there. If it was not in a harness, then I would jam it into the eagle. And remember, the eagles are always a separate piece you got to buy and attach to your standards. So that kind of adds a little bit of a cost, but they're only a couple of bucks, and you get like 8 of them or something like that. So that's okay. Okay, and then from there, I went ahead and did their saddle blankets. Well, not the blanket itself, but the fur. They call that they call that a saberdash too, don't they, or something? I get those two mixed up, the saberdash and the whatever. But either way, it's like a fur blanket that goes, and I did like a brain matter beige on these guys. I considered doing white because once I apply the wash, it's going to darken it down and dirty it up anyway. But I went ahead and did brain matter beige because it kind of darkened it up just a hair, because I think those what is that? That's like sheepskin, right? So I wanted to make sure it looked kind of dirty a little bit. Now the musicians, theirs is black, so I went ahead and did his in just black. Okay, their boots and their blades of their swords are all black, and also their shakos are black. But here's the whole reason why I want to do this video. We're getting to it. Oh yeah, that's right. Before I started doing any painting, I went ahead and used folk art. I'm reaching. Okay, I used some folk art hunter green and I watered it down, and I brushed it over their uniforms to make sure that it was the proper hunter green. And what, surprisingly enough, the brushed on hunter green and the sprayed on hunter green are an exact match. So the Rust-Oleum spray hunter green and the folk art hunter green are both exactly the same color. So I was surprised and happy about that. Okay, now you'll also notice that on the 1st Battalion or 1st Regiment, the musician actually has a blue jacket. He has a blue jacket where this musician still maintains the green jacket. I did a little research on that based on my uniform pages. And what I'll do is I'll bring up a little screen. We'll put it over here somewhere where you can actually see it, what I'm talking about. Okay, and I'll probably cycle through that. As I talk about the figures, I'll cycle through the different pages for the video. Okay, let me put the 6th Battalion or 6th Regiment off to the side just a little bit. These guys are all Shakos, and I decided to, now the Warlord Chasseurs sprue comes with a variety of different Shakos. Some of them have pom-poms, like this guy, and some of them are covered Shakos, some are Busbies, and some are a Shako with like a plate on the front, like a pom-pom plate. And I decided to, now I had already made this guy. This guy and this guy actually was assembled from a previous project that I had done, and I had them for a couple of years waiting to be painted. But I just had 2 figures, right? They were like 2 extra figures that I had. So I went ahead and decided to use those. And what I noticed was this guy had a pom-pom, and I don't want pom-poms. I'm not going to clip it off or anything. I'm going to leave it because it'll add just a little bit of variety to. The rest of these guys are all covered Shakos. And I don't have a problem with a mix of covered Shakos and non-covered Shakos. I mean, you can kind of see these guys back there don't have covered Shakos. Or they do have covered Shakos. It's just their pom-poms are showing. Okay. So, but what head they don't have is the helmet head. They do not have a helmet head in the Warlord Games Chasseurs sprue. And I noticed, doing my research, that the 1st Regiment of Chasseurs wore helmets. They were kind of unique or a little bit different, and I needed the 1st Regiment of Chasseurs, 1st Chasseurs, as part of Rial's division, no, Pyre, start of Pyre's division in 2nd Corps. So I had to find some of these helmeted heads. And lo and behold, I just finished 2 Cuirassier units. These were the you've seen them a couple of weeks back on my updates. I just finished 2 regiments of Cuirassier from Perry, and Perry makes the miniatures so that you can make carabinets or Cuirassier. And so when I made the Cuirassier, I still had the bits and the parts from the carabiners or carabinier. So, and I normally keep the extra heads and arms and legs and whatever extra pieces that I have, and I stash them in these bins up here on the far wall, usually. And I said, you know what? I wonder if I have any of these heads. So I went and checked, and the Perry Carabiner heads are exactly the Chasseurs helmet style. I mean, it's the same helmet style. And I said, I wonder if it will fit on a Warlord Games model. And it did. Because the Perry heads are without collars, and the Warlord torso includes the collar. So all I had to do was glue the head into the collar. And so we've got, you know, we've got the proper helmets. There you go. So I was super excited about that. That way I could do what I wanted to do. Okay, downside. I was like, okay, but the standard bearer doesn't have a helmet, and the musician doesn't have a helmet, and the officer doesn't have a helmet. Well, guess what? They don't have to, because they did a mixture of helmets and shakos in the unit. Some of the guys, specifically the command elements, didn't wear the helmets. They actually wore the shakos. So I was like, okay, we're good. So, and that's where I'm at right now with painting these guys. I anticipate 1 or 2 more days, and I'll have these guys done. I don't have to paint I don't really have to paint the main uniforms at all, because I've already did the spray primer and the folk art wash that I put over them to make them the proper hunter green, and they already are. I'm gonna have to do turnbacks and collars and cuffs, but other than that, the uniform and then the belt straps, and then I'm pretty much done. I got to do the metallics on the helmets, because they have like a brass, they have brass plates, and one of these guys, yeah. So it should, and then he's got some coloring I'm gonna have to do on his jacket, and then same with this musician over here. But other than that, I think I'm pretty good on these guys. I'm gonna get them done here real soon. Once I get them done, I'll come back with the rest of the update, which will show you what they look like when they're finished. And then I don't know what I'm going to do after that, but let's not think about too much. Now, there are 3 battalions. Like I said, there's 3 units that I wanted to do, but I have a mental block. Once I start getting over 2 battalions at a time, I've done 3, I've done 4 at a time. It's just that it eats into my motivation to paint them, because I look and I say, oh crap, I've got like 48 models to paint. This is going to take me hours, you know? So I keep putting it off and putting it off. But if I've only got 12 or 24 here, then I go, okay, I can knock this out in a couple hours. And my motivation is up, it's higher. And when you finish these 2 units, that motivates me to start 2 more units. And so having too many models on my workbench demotivates me. So I try to keep it manageable, keep it lower, and then that way I can knock them out faster and faster and faster. And if I can do 2 units every 2 or 3 days, then that's good. I'll have 100 units done in no time. All right, so thanks for coming out and watching this video, and I will see you in the next one.